All right, this is APAB Calculus. We're doing the midterm review, and this is multiple choice number 10, which is non-calculator. Let f be the function given by f of x equals x cubed minus 3x squared. What are all values of c that satisfy the mean value theorem for differential calculus on the closed interval from 0 to 3? So there's an interesting trick here, and I'm going to point it out because this problem always bothers me because there's a shortcut that I think that, it's relevant. So in general, the MVT, right, so what's important here is that, the MVT doesn't include the endpoints in the answer. So I'm mentioning this because in this particular problem, I can pinpoint that the answer has to be B right away because all 5 of these answers include at least one of these 2 endpoints on the interval, 0 or 3, except for answer B, which is the only one that doesn't. So by default, this is a poorly worded College Board question, and the answer has to be B. And I see that, and I have definitely, when I've done this problem in the past, been like, oh, hey, I don't have to actually do the problem. Now, we're going to do the problem here because it's important that we know how to use the mean value theorem. But again, in this one rare instance, the answer is definitely B because the endpoints do not count when you're finding the C value of the mean value theorem. It has to fall in the open interval from A to B. So although it is a closed interval from 0 to 3, the mean value theorem requires that the output, the C that you find at the end of the mean value theorem, that C value is in the open interval between the 2 points, 0 and 3 in this case, meaning 0 and 3 can't be included. It's definitely not B. But the short version of what the mean value theorem says is that if your function f is continuous on some window from A to B and differentiable on the open interval from A to B, parentheses, then, and this is again the very oversimplified version, but average slope equals instant slope. So essentially, the old school slope that you would find in algebra 1, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, is equal to the derivative, which is the instant slope, right? So I'm going to go ahead and find both of those things. So f of 3 minus f of 0 over 3 minus 0. I usually do a little bit of work off to the side, so I'll find f of 3 over here. It's a 27 minus a 27, which is conveniently a 0, and then f of 0 is actually also a 0, because 0 cubed minus 3 times 0. So I end up getting that this is 0 minus 0 over 2, or just a 0. So that's my average slope. And then my instant slope is the derivative, right? Well, f prime of x should be a 3x squared minus a 6x. So this thing has to equal this thing. That's what the mean value theorem says. And so now I'm going to solve. I can solve by factoring out a 3x, and I'm left with an x minus 2. So I actually do get 2 values where this equation is true. Either 3x is 0, so x is 0, or x minus 2 is 0, so x is 2. But because the interval is from 0 to 3, and C has to be between those but not including them, it has to be the answer 2. The other sticking point I have with this problem as a functional problem is that if you were going to put an answer that includes 2 values, one of the answers should be 2 and 0, because those are the 2 values that make the mean value theorem true. Well, let me rephrase. Those are the 2 values that make the derivative equal the average slope of that window, but only one of them works for the mean value theorem. Anyway, multiple reasons this problem bothers me, but your answer is B.